Thanks for coming by the live stream. I'm excited to read for y'all. So, the message that I was getting this morning, Spirit was talking about you are what you eat, but mentally, spiritually. They were talking about look out for what you consume. So, what kind of media, I know that like reading isn't even a thing anymore, but it's like, do you have any books that you are getting into? And like, what is the subject matter? And just notice that we are powerful beings and we are creators. And what we settle our thoughts on, we tend to notice and see and experience in the external. So, Spirit is talking about hey, if you want to experience more peace, more pleasure, more intuition, more magic, what have you, pick one. Can you consume more of that kind of media, more of those kinds of books, more of those kinds of good ideas? Hey, good morning, welcome, welcome. Yay, happy to see y'all. So, Spirit's talking about curation if you just got here. It's like, I'm not talking about your literal nutritional diet, but I'm talking about what your brain is eating, what your eyes and your ears are eating. And just curating those kind of carefully. We've got a never ending, Spirit's like, it's a buffet. And it's kind of like not necessarily the best buffet. This is so funny, but this is what they're saying. If you go to a buffet and they've got like 400 items out there, it's like here's the Chinese food and the American food and the Indian food and the everything you could possibly think of. They do not know what they're doing in any of those areas. They're like shotgun blasting, right? It's not like, oh, this is our thing and we've cultivated this over many years and here is our excellent cuisine. It's here's a bunch of stuff. You want more stuff? There's lots of stuff. So curate. What are you, scrolling past? Because even if you scroll past it, it's like it had a chance to make an impression on you. So maybe you need to go through your feed and be like, actually, this is really uninspiring. Or actually, like, every time I see this, I compare myself. So even if I like this person, maybe I need to mute them or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? Be a little more careful about what you are. You are what you eat. Okay? That's how Spirit kicked off today for me. Yay! Happy to see y'all. Okay. So keep that in your back pocket. And let's get into the daily forecast for this week. As always, remembering that anything that Spirit shares with us is for our highest good. Good, bad, ugly, hard, easy. All of it is in the name of our clarity, enlightenment, efficacy, our ability, our agency. So you are the doer. You are not in the stadium watching your life play out. You're on the field. So remember that this is for you. Okay. Spirit already kicking off. No pun intended. Field kickoff, haha. Okay. Let's get into these cards. Starting with today. Let's see what kind of Monday we get this week. They've been a little bit infamous. How about Tuesday? Woo! Jumping cards. Wednesday. What do we got, Spirit? Woo! These cards are really jumping. Okay. Now we're looking at Thursday. Spirit is saying Thursday. I can't see the cards yet. We'll see why. They're bringing up Jupiter, expansion, good fortune, luck. And Spirit is also using the word daring. Okay. And now they're bringing that into what they were saying at the beginning with the channeled message, where it's like part of your curation should involve this inspires me. Like this helps me be more daring in whatever way that I am looking to be more daring. I want to enjoy more of this. I want to experience more of that and being more daring in those directions. Making sure that the stuff you're, again, consuming is not, Spirit's like ruining your appetite. That's so funny. Okay, y'all, they're specifically, you never know what Spirit's going to come through with, but what they're bringing up is if you've heard of the popular euphemism of corn, they're talking about, maybe somebody like overindulges in corn and then can't enjoy the actual experience. I'm just saying. That's what they're giving me. Okay. Let's get into these cards. Oh my God, it's always a Monday. It's always a Monday. Okay. Hey. Okay, that's actually really gorgeous. All right. So, today, Five of Cups to kick off, combined with the Queen of Pentacles. So, I feel associated with this Queen of Pentacles, what I'm actually hearing, first of all, is the word mother. So, there could be some kind of like, um, gosh, and this could also be another prominent figure in your life. This could be like some unfortunate news around this person or from this person. But the Queen of Pentacles is a hale and a hearty individual and a very resourceful individual. So I want to give you that even though there may be a disappointment here, the Queen of Pentacles is the queen of recovery. If you took everything that she had from her today, she would be able to rebuild it for herself starting tomorrow. So it's not about the resources she has, it's the resourcefulness she has. I also want to say that there is something here about expectations. And there's a great quote that is, expectations are premeditated resentments. Sometimes we have an unspoken level that we want someone to hit or something we want them to do for us, but we're not willing to say it out loud or we're not willing to make ourselves vulnerable. And then inevitably we get disappointed because, you know, no matter how much somebody loves us or cares about us, they can't read our mind. We're not there yet in the human evolution chain. If we don't microwave the planet, hopefully we get there. But right now, we have to tell each other stuff, even when it's uncomfortable. So I feel like there's a call to be a little bit vulnerable and to remember that that doesn't make you weak. That's actually courageous to expose something that feels a little scary to expose. So I feel like you need to share. And I feel like if you are disappointed by a Queen of Pentacles themselves, a sister, a mother, a good friend that is like your Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn friend, very canny, very down to earth. Maybe they don't quite understand. Maybe like your emotional wave is outside of their understanding. I would like you to not internalize that. I would like you to just be like, okay, well, we're different people. We think different ways, and they're not necessarily always going to understand me. It doesn't even necessarily mean they don't love me. They just really, we come from two different elements. Could be something like that. Okay. But hold space for the fact that it's going to get better. Now, Monday, we know how the Monday's been going. Let's talk about it. So, first, Ten of Wands, case of the Mondays, lots to do, maybe feeling overburdened, maybe feeling, I feel really like exhaustion. I feel like maybe even like burnout, like I'm pushing too hard. And what I really feel is there's not enough recovery time. Hanged One is coming in to say like, hey, ooh, Spirit something saying something really important. If we ignore the initial signs, if we ignore the whispers, then they have to grow to like, you know, from inside voice to outside voice to screaming to pounding down the door to like a tower moment, right? You know what I mean? Depending where you are on the spectrum. Am I listening to the fact that like, my jaw hurts or my knee's been extra crunchy and I'm kind of having trouble walking, but you know, whatever, like let me move on. Don't do that. Don't push yourself to the brink, is what I'm hearing. And I also hear that potentially Monday, and here's your yellow light, to slow down, to literally like watch where you're going, to watch your step is actually something, and I mean literally. I mean like don't accidentally forget that there was one more step there or there wasn't one more step there and Spirit just showing it to me like that. Because you could end up in a situation where you're kind of like, I'm in traction. You know what I mean? Like, I got the cast up, I got the leg up, like, damn. I wish I had had my head up and my eyes open a little bit more. But you might be exhausted and overburdened, and that can lead to not paying enough attention to the subtler signals. So, Spirit is giving you this now. Here's your yellow light. Slow down, plan breaks. If you think it takes 30 minutes to get there, leave yourself 45 to an hour, all of that stuff, okay? Everything that keeps you from pushing to the brink. Beautiful energy on Tuesday. So Monday is always Monday, and that's just because Spirit is always right and accurate. Tuesday, though, wham bam, amazing. Ace of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, things turning in a new direction, an inspiring direction. Spirit is saying catalyst with this Ace of Wands. Like this is, they're showing me somebody lighting a fuse. And it's like, here we go. The fuse is lit. We're going. The ball is rolling. Things are going to change in a big way. Wheel of Fortune is not like, not small potatoes. It's what the thing that Spirit is really emphasizing right now is once you get this ball rolling, you kind of can't stop it. So if you really want it, light the fuse. If you don't know if you're ready, don't light the fuse and don't catalyze and don't get this started. This is one thing that Spirit is showing me. This is really funny. This is super specific. But one thing that they're showing me is like a couple of people getting together and be like, we're going to start a band. And it's like, this, if you start this thing, there's like, thing, it's going to blow up. Now, is it a positive blow up? Is it a negative blow up? I feel like it's a positive blow up. The Wheel of Fortune to me is a little bit like the equal and the opposite of the Tower. Like, this is shocking. I don't even know how to handle this, but this is a good thing. Okay? So prepare yourself. What are you inspired by? You may even, they're telling me, thinking about coming from the Monday and the Ten of Wands, you may need to consider how much of what you're doing is busy work and how much you could actually let go. We're heading up to the Pisces and the Virgo eclipses this month. So things, talk about a ball that's already rolling. Things are already rolling in that direction. And yes, we have, 2 sets of eclipses every year. So, when people talk about eclipses and oh my God, the world's going to end and your life is going to change, and it gets a little operatic. It gets a little inflated. But it's true that in some area of your life there is a closing and in another there is an opening. Look to where Pisces and Virgo are in your chart to know what theme in your life, okay? Spirit is saying the ball's already rolling where things want to get started in a really organic, life-giving way. And what does Virgo do? Virgo separates the wheat from the chaff. Actually, this isn't working. This isn't effective. This is disorganized. I need to get this together. If I want this to work, I need to do this, 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 and set myself up for success. That's something that Spirit is saying. So consider how, with whatever your wand is, the thing that you are excited about. A wand is it's the element of the 4 that is a growing element. We usually see it as like a very long stick and it's got leaves growing out of it. It is still in the process of becoming ultimately what it will. So what gets you really excited and feels like there's a lot of room to sparkle and shine and like go off and pop off and etc. If you want to, get that ball rolling on Tuesday. And again, it might involve stripping away some things that just actually don't need to be done so that you're not smothering the fire. Like Ten of Wands is like this, if you pile too much wood on a fire and it's all with good intentions of like, hey, the more wood, the more fire, right? And it's like, no, actually, it needs to breathe. So you might need to parse what can be delegated, deleted, automated, etc. Okay? Okay. Wednesday. Hidden blessing. 4 of Cups and the Star. And Spirit is pointing something out that's really important. In the 4 of Cups, there's always, somebody staring at their empty cups and there's a cup being poured behind them that they don't even know about yet. Someone is pouring you something beautiful. If you are sitting and waiting and saying, it's not happening for me, then you're not doing Tuesday right. Grab it Tuesday, or else, Wednesday, maybe you're feeling a little bit like I missed the boat again, or I'm feeling depressed. I wish that I had kicked something off. I wish that I had gotten started. But no blame, no shame, no judgment. We all have those moments, and Spirit is like, the star is, they're always in the fucking sky, but we only see them when things get really dark. We only begin to understand what is possible when we are shown what's like not possible, and that's something that Spirit is saying. You put me up against a wall, I begin to find out something that I'm made of. And I feel like your dreams are changing. And the more open you are to those dreams evolving, maybe you used to want this one thing, but actually if you got it, it wouldn't please you. That's something that I'm feeling is like the dream has evolved. So feel your disappointment, Feel your yearning and your longing. It's lovely, it's romantic, it's very Four of Cups. And know that the universe is pouring you something better. And this goes back to what Spirit was saying at the beginning of the reading about curating what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, etc., 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 what you read, because you want your channel to be available for truth, love, liberation. You can fill it with bullshit. You know what I mean? And then when it's full, bullshit is really loud. Intuition is really quiet. It's really subtle. It's really hard to hear your intuition over your disappointment in yourself, or the need you have for this thing that you don't have yet, or the media that's beaming into your eyes and ears, which is, again, much louder, much more addictive. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally programmed to make you want to stay watching it forever. I'm not saying that it's some kind of fucking conspiracy, but I am saying that whether it intends to or not, it leads us away from our intuition. It leads us away from our center and over to somebody else's. And it's important for you to, whatever you need to do to maintain kind of your spiritual hygiene. If I have a horrible day, am I doing something to kind of exorcise that energy? Whether it's like write in a journal, have a call with a friend where I kind of release some of that energy, you know, go into therapy, whatever, like doing something so that I can process that in a way that is healthy, so that I can digest the parts that I can digest, and that I can fucking cough up the bones and throw them out. Like, I don't need that, and that's just going to stick in my craw. What is useful is this, not this. You know what I'm saying? Now, I said something about, if you want to light up this new change, if you really want this new thing to go off, be sure that you want it to go off. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of money. It's a lot of resources. It's a lot of growth that is possible. You had the 10 of Wands before. Here's the 9 of Wands. At least we've gone down a wand. At least maybe you're willing to let go of one single wand so that you don't feel totally exhausted. You just feel, 80% exhausted. That said, the 9 of Wands is a don't give up card. It says you are closer than you might think to your goal. If you let go now, they're showing me that meme of the guy who's digging, and it's like he stopped digging 2 inches from the gold mine or whatever. That's what Spirit is showing me as I look at the 9 of Wands and the 8 of Pentacles. So if your idea has legs, or if you love your creative project, or whatever, it's 9 of Wands is something that you care passionately about. Something that you care passionately about, that you've been at for a long time. 8 of Pentacles also implies like a craftsperson, practice, 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 showing up consistently, showing up to the work table and working at your talent until it becomes a skill, is something that Spirit is saying. So you may have a gift that you need to really embody and be like, okay, yes, I'm good at this offhanded and off the cuff. So what would happen if I really put in the work? What would happen if I really set up a plan and started to work it on a really consistent basis? I see a lot of potential there. Spirit is pointing out how this is coming after the 4 of Cups and the Star. I feel like they're telling me with the Star, you may even get a message that day out of nowhere from a friend, a random comment. It's like, okay, this is how they're giving it to me. A lot of people start channels or accounts, right? And maybe they're posting and posting and posting, and it's like a ghost town. And they're thinking like, man, I don't think maybe this isn't actually going to work. Maybe this isn't actually for me, whatever, whatever. And then somebody leaves a comment that is like, this is the best thing I've ever seen, or this is exactly what I needed in this moment, and says something that really like resonates with you and reignites kind of your excitement and the fact, and it's like a little sign. It's a little sign from the universe, like, hey, don't give up. Hey, like, yes, it's coming in the 11th fucking hour, the 9th inning, pick your metaphor. It's here because there's something there for you. And connected to the 8 of Pentacles, genuinely, there could be money there for you. I'm not the kind of reader who dangles money and love and all that shit in front of you, but that's what they're telling me, is you might be having this very week an adjustment to your approach when it comes to your wands. So again, your creativity, your energy, your action, your drive. Well, let me name something else that's showing up right now. Someone's activism, right? 10 of Wands, I'm burning out. The world is fucking on fire. Everything is crazy. I don't know how I could possibly do something to help. I'm not doing enough. All of the things that lead us to burnout. Spirit is like, you could actually have a moment this week where you find a new approach. And something that I want to tell you, something that's coming up right now, is remember, like, yes, you may be like a drop in the ocean of everything that is happening, right? So, like, okay, I have the ability and the scope of a drop. The ocean is nothing but a shitload of drops. Your drop matters. You do not need to fix the ocean. If you clean up your drop, it actually helps the drops next to you begin to notice and clean up their own drop. We can, through taking care of ourselves and our little community, our little cause, whatever, little, local, think global, act local, that whole thing. Your drop matters. Cleaning your drop matters. Cleaning your little area matters. So know that it has an impact and you don't need to do everything. And you don't need to fix the problem. You do your part. You find your passion or your cause or your thing, and you get yourself into that in a way that is sustainable for your fire, that actually helps you grow your fire rather than diminish it. You know what I mean? And create something sustainable, which is a really great segue over into Friday. Four of Wands, sustainable fire. The fire that is inside of a hearth, a fireplace, a kiln, something that keeps a primal force banked in a way that it is always beneficial. That's something that I'm hearing, and that is connected to temperance. So temperance is literally moderation. Take it easy. Quite the opposite of the Ten of Wands. Going in guns blazing and being like, well, so what if I'm tired? I still have to stay up and do 4 more hours of this. All that's going to do is end you up in the traction that Spirit was talking about earlier, okay? So if you can't do it sustainably, then you can't do it. And that's just the truth. And that is, yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, that's frustrating. There it is, So if somebody is asking you to do something that is unsustainable, you also need to be able to stand up for yourself and say, like, hey, actually, that deadline is not reasonable for me because you've given me this many other things that I need to do. So this is the deadline that I think that would work for us or whatever. And it needs to be a little bit more of a dialogue. That's just something that I'm hearing. Four of Wands is a great card. And so is Temperance. It feels like there's a lesson learned this week about, like, hey, what's the point if I'm not happy? Why am I doing any of this shit if not to be happy, to be satisfied, to be fulfilled, to have moments of inspiration and moments of rest, to do a day's hard work, but it's for my own satisfaction and, like, I feel good about it, not I'm putting in work and then I'm putting in more work and then I'm not thanking myself and then I didn't sleep last night and I got to get up and go to work. You need a happy home. Four of Wands. You need a warm, loving foundation. And Four of Wands says it's available. Four of Wands is family, it's community, it's friendship. When I say family, we have to understand in the age we're living in, tarot was written so many hundreds of years ago. Chosen family. Doesn't have to be blood family, doesn't have to be marriage and kids. Can be, this is my community. These are the people that make me feel at home. I feel safe, protected, adored, supported when I'm with these people and doing these things. Spirit's even literally bringing up like a fandom where it's like, yeah, every time I go to like this convention, I see all of my friends and like we're all into this. So I don't know, but that's what they're saying. Beautifully, we cap off the week with the Queen of Wands and the Four of Swords. Again, a card of rest, repose, recovery, getting our thoughts together after kind of like a, potentially tumultuous week. It's a good thing, Ace of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, but it's a lot to take in. And this is really saying to you, if you want to get the full power, Queen of Wands is a leader. It has nothing to do with sex and gender and everything to do with personality type. We've been talking about your wands this whole time. 10 of Wands, Ace of Wands, 9 of Wands, 4 of Wands. What you are driven, excited about, creating, what fires you up, what lights you up. Whatever it is, If you want it to be sustainable, and if you want to be a leader in your field, if you want people to follow your example or your account or whatever, then you need rest, recovery, and integration time. Even for good things, is something Spirit is saying. Like when a really amazing windfall of luck, or like, this is just what they're giving me. So maybe a lot of you are trying to do something on social media or something like that. But Spirit is saying it's like opening up your account and seeing that some person that you really admire followed you back. And you're like, what? That person wants to see my stuff? Spirit is like, that's your kind of, here's the Queen of Wands in the external reflecting your Queen of Wands internal. And you might need to integrate that experience. Whether that means, picking up your phone and turning on the video and going, holy shit, okay, the date is this, and blibbity blap blop just followed me back on blibbity blap. Like, you come here for the erudite, the vocabulary, all of that, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's affirmation, and you really want to take it in and digest it. You don't want to let it kind of, Spirit is bringing it back to what they said at the beginning about curating. If you have ruined your appetite with, like, I'm stuffed with other information and other thoughts, even the greatest things like that can be like, I'm numbed and desensitized to that, and it just kind of rolled right off of me, instead of remembering, like, this is so cool, and I've wanted this so bad, and I really want to mark the moment. Like, journal, call somebody, but really integrate it. Go, roll around on the grass outside because you're so ecstatic, that kind of thing. And that's the kind of stuff that they're showing me. So I see growth, and I see like the balance of, it didn't go exactly the way that I wanted to, but that may ultimately be to my benefit. That's something that I'm seeing here. Okay. Now, let's get into the elemental forecast. Let's get into the readings for all of the signs. Remembering that you might be a sun in Cancer, but if you have Moon in Gemini, or Mercury and Mars in Libra, or Taurus or Capricorn or whatever, there are going to be elemental through lines for you. So listening to each one can give you a more comprehensive message. Let's start with the earth signs. That's what I'm hearing. So Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn people, loved ones, guides, well and elevated ancestors who tune in. For those who hear this reading, you know the beautiful math of the universe. You can see the whole board and all the players. What do you see this week for the earth signs? Okay. And let's look at their money. Jobs, projects, Spirit's using the word initiatives. The foundation. Okay. How about the mental realm? Communications, messages, thoughts, words. What's the climate like? In the earth signs' minds. And now we look to relationships, feelings, connections, even the depths of our intuition, Spirit. What's happening in the realm of the cups for the earth signs? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and finally, tell me about their spark. Tell me about their magma. What's brewing up inside? What's heating up, lighting up the earth signs? What I'm hearing first, earth signs, is more information is yet to be revealed. And I'm hearing something else, which is, this is connected to like all is not what it seems. I feel that for some of you, and this will not apply to everybody, so if this resonates and rings a bell in the back of your mind, be on the alert for that. If it doesn't, then that's for some other earth sign and don't worry about it. What I'm feeling for some of you is it's like the environment is telling me one thing, and this is how they're showing it to me. It's like I'm at the office, and the higher ups aren't saying that anything weird is happening, but the vibes are off. And like there's been, maybe corporate's been visiting or something, something, and you're just kind of like, they're telling me this, but it kind of seems like this. I would like, oh, hello. Guess, play an intuitive game. I would like you to trust yourself. The moon, that's what spirit is saying to me, is this is a all is not what it seems situation. And so looking to the outside world and believing the external data is not necessarily the most effective or accurate data that you could look to this week. Spirit encourages you to look to yourself, to trust yourself. And I mean, this comes back again, as it always does, to the initial message about like, hey, watch what you're consuming. This hermit is shutting the laptop, letting go of everybody else's viewpoint, of everybody else's perspective for a bit so they can really zoom in and zone in on their own light, their own inner understanding, those subtler, stranger messages and signs. It's working in your favor. So keep your mind open, pay attention. It also speaks again to spiritual hygiene. That's part of the curation. It's like, what am I taking in, and is this good for me? If I'm, consuming the mental and emotional equivalent of Cheetos all day long, eventually I'm going to experience some kind of deficiency. Even if it's tasty, even if it's convenient, at some point I'm going to begin to feel negative consequences of consuming that way. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Looking at money, work, projects, you can go further than you think. You can expand past where you are. Four of Pentacles says that you are holding on tightly to your skills, and even I'm also hearing like your talents. So, and there's a difference, right? Skills are things you work on and you build. Talents are things that you kind of have innately, and you can choose to build on them if you want. So, if you feel, as a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, called out by that a little bit, ask yourself how you could share a little bit of what you have. And Spirit is also giving me another really poignant quote, which is give what you want the most. So let's come back to that person who's been making a bunch of content and it's been crickets and a ghost town, and then they get that one happy comment and it reminds them like, oh yeah, okay, there are people that like this, or this is great, I'm going to keep going. That could be you going out and doing such a thing for someone else. Hey, this post was awesome. I get something really good out of this. Give what you want the most. If what you want is some feedback or some support, go about giving that and see if it doesn't find its way back to you. Spirit is funny. They're like, on Earth, karma is just thermodynamics, cause and effect. It won't necessarily, come back the way that you're thinking. So I might pay this person a compliment, and karmically, I might think that they're going to give me a compliment back. Not necessarily. But that compliment is going to circle back from somewhere, right? You know what I'm talking about? Don't be afraid to share. Don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone. If you need something, also be willing to ask for it and be a little vulnerable and not hold your cards or your needs so close to your chest. That's a little bit, Four of Pentacles also. This person is always featured as a merchant, so they're doing really well in life. They've got everything that they need, and they want more. And if you want more, offer some of what you have and let yourself be surprised how much people want it, are willing to pay you for it. That's just something that I'm hearing. Love to see Six of Swords after the Moon and the Hermit. Clarity. Clarity and the ability to move forward based on that clarity. Now, again, with this Six of Swords, this is just something that I'm hearing, is that it could be like, well, this isn't necessarily the best news or the news that I wanted, but it does make it easier for me to go in a new direction. So again, let's go back to our example of somebody who like is working in an office and the vibes are off, and maybe they speak to a higher up that they're actually friends with outside of the organization, and that higher up says, low key, start putting in applications. Okay, boom, Six of Swords. Not what I wanted to hear, but it is going to allow me to make an escape. So something that Spirit is saying about the Six of Swords is clear communication is your friend this week, as opposed again to holding your cards close to your chest and being, now they're bringing me back to what they said earlier about hoping that like somebody will read our minds and just tell us what it is that we are wanting to hear. Open the lines of communication. And Spirit is saying something else. You know, earth signs, you have very powerful energy, a lot of gravitas, a lot of punch. So if you want clear communication, make it clear to the other person that you are a safe person to receive that communication. So, like, you know, if let me let me use this as an example. Spirit is showing me somebody saying like, "What annoys you about me?" And like the other person like, "Whoop whoop, it's a trap. It's a trap. Like, don't don't say anything. Make it really clear." So if you're asking for feedback or you're asking a favor, make it clear that it's safe, like for them to be honest or for them to say no or whatever. Okay. Why do I say that? Two of Cups. I feel like between these two cards, great opportunity for clear communication. Notice the water. Sharing my feelings. With this person, I feel safe. With this person, I feel I can share. And then I'll be able to move on and get where I'm trying to go. So, Two of Cups is gentle. It's very sweet. It's, you know, the first blush of romance or a new friendship or even like a burgeoning creative or business partnership where it's like, ooh, we're still finding things out about each other. There's a lot of chemistry symbolized by the lion at the top of the card. Like there's, you know, all of this looks very sweet and innocent. And then here's this lion to remind us of like the ferocity of attraction, of chemical attraction to people. So I feel like you could have a discussion, a one on one type of discussion that could really clarify things for you, help open you up, and potentially even begin to take your show on the road. And Spirit's putting it like that. So that's an interesting way to say it. Maybe that's very relevant and barely a metaphor for some of you, where it's like, I am about to go on tour. I am about to fill in the blanks. Seven of Wands says, you have what it takes to compete. You have what it takes to have the higher ground. But what I also want to say is I want to emphasize preparation. And you're an earth sign, right? I don't need to belabor that point. You love to go in prepared. You don't want to go in unprepared. And I feel like, again, it's like there's more information coming. There's more data coming that will influence your approach and help you pick the most effective approach. So I feel like be patient with that and don't run out before you're ready. Again, maybe you have air, like fire sign prominent somewhere in your chart or something, because that's not normally something I'd worry about with the earth signs, but that's what I'm hearing is get yourself really prepared, have a really good idea of how you want to approach this, be like well armed is something that I'm hearing with the Seven of Wands. And we'll bring that back to being well armed means knowing who I am, what I have, what my values are, what my vision is. And so I don't make moves that are out of alignment with that. No matter how tempting, how juicy, how immediate, like, ooh, I could reach out and grab that. Spirit's so funny. Spirit is showing me the marshmallow test. You ever heard of the marshmallow test? Where it's like they'll have a kid sit down and be like, hey, you could have this marshmallow right now, or you could wait an hour and you can have two marshmallows. And you can guess what most of the kids do. It's like, give me that shit. Give me that one marshmallow. You might get two marshmallows if you're able to be patient, to wait, to take in some more data, and take a more effective approach that is more I'm going to use the phrase self-centered in the most positive way, because actually centered. Okay? Okay. I hope that that is helpful for the earth signs. Let's move from there over to your cousin, the water signs. Let's talk to Cancer, Scorpio, and Aquarius people. Cancer, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Spirit, we want to know the overwhelming, overarching theme that serves the water signs' highest good to be aware of. Hey, okay, all right, all right. Now let's look at money, jobs, projects, income. Hey, okay, Okay. And the mental realm, the mental climate. What is the sort of temperature of the thoughts? Makes sense to me. Now let's look at their own realm. Their feelings, their emotions, their depths. Beautiful. And finally, their fire, their inner light. What is firing them up? Goodness. Okay, water signs. My first question to you is, what do you need to put to rest? What are you well and truly done with? And you know that there's a feeling of like rebirth on the other side of that. Let's talk about it. Cancer, Scorpio, and Aquarius placements. Death, clarified or followed by the sun. Death, rebirth, the new me. Spirit is actually showing me something really beautiful. So the way that this is shown as a child, Spirit is saying this death is like stripping away parts of you that are like sediment, like just built up dry layers of bullshit, of like social conditioning, of like, oh, other people like it when I do this or behave like that or whatever, and taken in, consuming. Can we come back to the beginning of the message? Like consuming things and ideas and ideals and archetypes, and then at some point along the way, we can lose ourselves. Spirit is talking about stripping away and shedding a skin. You've outgrown something. You're done. Let me just jump right over to the mental realm. Ten of Swords. I've done everything that I can. I've made every effort to communicate, is what Spirit is saying. So it's like I've communicated in a kind way, I've communicated in a firm way, I've communicated in a pleading way, I've communicated in a cajoling way. I've done everything. I've debated. I've done everything that I possibly could to try to change this situation or make the other party aware of what was happening. And I'm coming to a place where I go, okay, so this is it. Spirit is saying something else for some of the water signs. There is just like a feeling of like defeat. Like I did my best. And that's what the Ten of Swords says, is like you put everything in, it still didn't work out. But you are being encouraged between these cards and between a couple of your other cards that there is actually a lot more life on the other side of that. So death can feel like, oh my God, it's the end, understandably. Okay, and I'm not trying to rush you. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is fine. Ten of Swords is fine and death is fine. No, we struggle. All human beings. Nobody likes change but a wet baby. Even when we want things to change, change is upsetting, change is disorienting, etc. But everything here is letting me know that like you're exhausted anyway. And so it's like, would this really be the worst thing if this moved out of my way? When we come to a Ten of Swords point, oftentimes, listen, I don't know how many of you have been there. This is what Spirit is bringing to mind for me. When you have been in a long-term relationship with somebody and it's like, it's not working, and I am putting in everything. I'm doing everything I can because I made a commitment. So you could say relationship, you could say job, you could say project. See what the through line is for you in your own life. These are general readings, okay? But there's somewhere where it's like, I've put in everything and ultimately I am feeling depleted, as if my work that I'm throwing into like a void. And Spirit is saying something very specific. This is not going to apply in any way to every water sign, but Spirit is saying some of you are dealing with a person that is dealing with a lot of like mental illness and anguish. And so that's why it's kind of like I'm just throwing my energy or my love or my compassion into a void. Like this person is an alcoholic or this person has borderline personality disorder. We're not judging anybody, not blame, shame, judging anybody. It's just, oh, this takes up a lot of bandwidth in my life trying to deal with this. And I think that maybe I need to create some boundaries. I need to transform the way I do this relationship or this job or my own like will. I need to make a change. Everything happens in cycles. And you know what they say about every 7 years, we shed our skin entirely, right? Over the course of 7 years, and it's like, oh, you shed all your skill, all your cells, and they regenerate, and you're basically a new person every 7 years. Which, funnily enough, coincides with Uranus, which is the revolution and progress. It takes 7 years, right, to transit a sign. Spirit is like, you have transformed. 7 years has passed. That could be literal. That could be metaphorical. And you are ready to shed that and to start in some way a new life. Really cool imagery here. Another child and an adult sharing their magic with the child. I feel like for many of you, it's like, here's your inner adult, here's your inner child. Actually, hey, you know what? Let's be done with this and let's go have some fun. What if I prioritize me for a moment? You know, and water signs can be guilty of taking on other people's things in a bid to be helpful, in a bid to be, you know, there's an element of sacrifice to love, but if it is the predominant element, then things are not in balance. Okay, so let me just say that, and I will leave it there. I will not harass you further. So, Ace of Pentacles, Six of Cups. This is Spirit is actually using the phrase like joyful synthesis. What do they mean by that? They mean you have synergy with somebody. So this could be a sibling. This could be a childhood best friend. This could be a cousin. That they're giving me all these different words. But the Six of Cups is somebody that it's like, we're so well bonded. Like there's no, that's why even if we're not blood related, we feel like siblings, or I even call them brother or sister or whatever. I feel like this person can kind of represent this for you, and ultimately I would love you to do this for yourself, to treasure what like your inner enthusiastic self wants outside of sacrifice or contribution or etc. It's like, yes, all of that is wonderful, and like I, at least at this moment, have done enough, and it would be a good idea for me to spend some time and energy on what is growing, what is just beginning. As this other thing closes, let me use the compost of that to fertilize this beautiful new thing that I'm growing. And you have the right people around you to help you with that. What does the seed need? It needs water. Magic water, even better. You don't know the possibilities and what all could grow if you will give yourself permission to, Spirit is using the word surrender. And it's like, okay, again, I lay down my sword. I did everything that I could. I made my best attempt. They know where I am. And now I need to live some of my life for me, just to bring things back into balance. Feel me? Okay. I hope that that is helpful. Water signs. Now, let's talk to the air signs. So that's what I'm hearing. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Sun, moon, rising, or dominant air sign people, Spirit. My airy, intellectual communicators, my weirdos. What do air sign dominant folks need to know this week, Spirit, for their highest good? Gorgeous. Okay. Let's talk about money, work, projects, income. Hey, okay. Now, how about the mental realm? Their inner workings. What's the climate in the mind? Okay. And their own realm. The realm of the cups. Okay. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Gemini, Libra. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. What's lighting them up? Spirit is talking about the relationship between air and fire. Yes, Spirit's a delicate balance. What is lighting them up? Gorgeous. Okay. Okay. Your real only danger this week, air signs, is thinking too hard. And is kind of, Spirit is saying the problem with being smart is sometimes you can think circles around yourself. And you can, come up with every single possibility, every like splinter of the path, everything that could go wrong, everything that could go right. And before you know it, overwhelm, right? I'm going to jump here first because this is really the only little bit of static in your reading. So if you know yourself, and air sign people tend to deal with like anxiety and even like depression and things like that, right? Because it's like I have a very deep internal life. I think a lot about everything and I think about what I feel too. Um, I think it's really important, air signs, to prioritize feeling also, not just thinking about how you're feeling, but like letting yourself cry or letting yourself scream and hit the pillow or whatever. Like, don't hold it all in. That's what I'm hearing, okay? Don't hold it all in. Definitely don't think that like I'm all alone and I'm like, nobody can help me. There's no solution to this. I can completely understand how that can feel. And something Spirit is bringing up for me is like, being confronted with something like a really steep bill or a difficult diagnosis or something like that, where it's like, how can I stop thinking about that though? And I understand that. And Spirit is saying your best option, if you are under some kind of really big stress, right? Like, oh, I've got this impending deadline or something like that. Spirit is like, we really need you to spend some time going to the opposite element. If you're very much in your head, it's even more important than for the average person that you ground yourself. You have the Empress as your overarching energy for this week. So even if you have some anxiety, some fear, some analysis paralysis, the Empress is reminding you, notice how she's outside. She's the Empress. Maybe she would want to be in an indoors, climate controlled situation, but no. She's like, I want to be out here where it is abundant and lush and beautiful and where I can put, my bare feet on the ground and I can put my back against the crystal and I can feel that I'm occupying a body, that everything isn't just happening up here or in here. Pardon me. The solution or the antidote to being too much in your head is to begin taking some kind of small action. Some kind of small action. Let's go to the thing that they were telling me about. Like, this could be something like a medical diagnosis, right? And it's like, okay, I don't have all the solutions. I don't know what I can do yet, but there's one small thing that, the doctor said that I could do, and that is start walking. Or that is practice better sleep hygiene at night so that I'm able to sleep more through the night or whatever. Let me do that. Let me take a small, helpful action to start moving things around. Notice how this Two of Pentacles lady might graduate into this Empress, but it's like started from the bottom. I started with what I had. And ultimately, as I practice being able to move things around and to receive more in exchange, I'm able to receive more and more and more. I open myself up. I become more comfortable with receiving, is something Spirit's also saying. The Empress is magnetic. So I'm telling you to take small, gentle actions in a direction that counteracts your fear. Grounding yourself, taking a walk outside, journaling your thoughts so that it's like, okay, I'm putting this onto paper. I'm taking something intangible and I'm making it tangible so that my mind can know, okay, it's on the hard drive now. We don't need to keep it in the RAM. You don't need to keep showing it to me because I see it, I saw it, I get it, I got it. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. In the emotional realm, also very resonant with the Empress, we have the Ace of Cups. Receiving, magnetic. There could be an offer or a show of assistance that is really unexpected. So you're in a Nine of Swords place. I'm freaking out. I'm feeling really anxious. Somebody might come through with a gift, with an offer, with an invitation, or there could even be like a new encounter that shows you like, hey, things are happening. Things are really opening up for me. And that's what I'm hearing because your Wands card for this week, 8 of Wands, tons of activity, tons of communication, tons of possibility, options. If you want something, ask for it. If you want a job, apply for it. Let them decide, whether you are qualified or not, but you need to put the word out. Take the word in. People might also, like I said, be reaching out to you and having things to offer you. Something that I'm feeling now is for some of you, this could be like an old friend that reaches out. That's just what I'm hearing. And the more that you make moves that make you feel like the Empress, I'm taking good care of myself. If I'm scared of something or worried about something, I'm taking small, gentle, loving, sustainable steps to move things in a direction that is going to be better for me. You've heard the quote, of course, that we accept the love we think we deserve. Spirit is saying, we want you to up the ante on what you think you deserve. What if you were to just lay back, put on some music that doesn't have any words, close your eyes, and imagine yourself, whatever your gender, right? Kicked back in the equivalent of this situation, your ideal situation. Everything around you is lush, abundant, beautiful, easy. What does that look and feel like? And the more that you can get there before you get there, the easier it is to get there. It might sound strange. You don't have to believe it. But the more that you focus on a feeling, you are literally magnetically, you are pulling it to you. That's why such a thing as synchronicity exists. Oh, I was listening to this podcast and they used, let's say, the phrase centrifugal force. Something that like I'm not hearing every day or all the time, right? It's not like every book you hear, every song talks about centrifugal force. But I hear the words centrifugal force 3 times that day. Something is tapping me on the shoulder going, we're listening. We hear you. And this again brings us back to Spirit's initial message of curate the kind of things you are consuming. The music, the media, the things you are reading, make sure that, along with your Cheetos and Doritos mental and emotional equivalents, that you're also taking in that filet mignon and those lovely cruciferous vegetables. You're taking in good ideas. You're taking in helpful ways of thinking and etc. Like you're shoring up your courage by reading these books, that kind of thing. The more that you bring in an idea, the more likely you are to see it externalized around you. So if you want to, again, feel a different way or invite in a new reality, this is something Spirit is saying, and this is so simple. They're like, if you are looking for magic and to experience magic in your life and to experience like hearing and feeling and seeing signs, go find a fiction book about people who read and feel and see signs. Go find a book about witches. Go find a book about tarot readers. Go find a book about whatever. Immerse yourself in that world and then wait for the universe to reflect back to you some of those symbols in a new way and in a new direction because you have taken the step to expand your own perspective and your own, even like the innocence of maybe it could happen. I don't know. And you're not doing the air sign thing of over intellectualizing it to the point that's like you don't do a post-mortem on something that is still alive. Hey, I really want to understand you. Oops. Damn. You got to let it live. And so not chopping things up right off the bat and trying to make them make sense. Let them be. Empress. Let them wash over you. Attract some good things into your life. That's what I see. That could make a lot of things move. A lot of movement in your cards. A lot of movement. Okay. I hope that that is helpful, air signs. That brings us finally to fire signs. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The instigators. The adventurers, the pioneers, Spirit. What do fire sign folks need to know this week, Spirit? What if when they bring their awareness to this, does it serve their highest good? Okay. For Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Hey. Okay, interesting. Interesting, interesting. Mental climate. Okay. Really interesting. Okay, and I promise to give you the actual full movie. This is not going to be all trailer. But there's a really interesting pattern already happening here. Okay, Spirit. What about the emotional realm? Their feelings, connections, relationships. Okay? And finally, their own element, their fire. What is sparking them, driving them, lighting them up, lighting a fire under them? Beautiful. Beautiful. You have a really lovely combination of I'm standing on my own 2 feet and I'm in a group or a partnership where like I feel loved and supported. Really gorgeous cards. Fire signs, need you to trust yourself. Here's your overarching theme for the week, the Hermit. Again, Spirit always knows what they're talking about. This would be a good week for a fucking social media detox. Hey, maybe I don't need everybody else's perspective. Maybe I want to really get into my own perspective, my own light, my own intuition, my own perception. The granddaddy of the nines, the Hermit, one of the lower nines, 9 of Pentacles, standing proud, again, on my own 2 feet. Proud of what I've been able to cultivate, grow, create, the tangible results of my efforts, whether it's money, whether it's like products, whether it's produce. You know what I mean? Harvesting from the garden, literally like this. Your slow and steady effort pays off this week, where there is some kind of, ooh, I get to enjoy some fruits of my labor. You should really take a moment to be proud of yourself for that. Don't let it rush by. Like I've said to one of the other signs, can't even remember now, but it's like really integrate that. Digest that so that it's not just like, oh yeah, that happened and next, which can be a very fire sign thing, right? Like, okay, next goalpost, next thing. No, really sink into the moment before you blaze your path onward, and you will, but take the time to go, you know what? This is pretty amazing. This is pretty great. And you know, tomorrow I'm going to get back up and we're going to start the new thing or the next thing or to continue with this. But as this is now, and it's important to note, the 9 of Pentacles is just one ace short, right? Of the 10 of Pentacles, of like, wow, there's so much more than enough that I can share generously with everybody that I care about. So it's like, you're really close to something and you should enjoy the precipice. That's what Spirit is saying, is you should enjoy the precipice. You know what you're doing. That's something that Spirit is saying with these 2 9s. You know what you're doing, and it would be better for you to keep your eyes on your own paper right now and to focus on, like, this is what I'm growing and cultivating. I don't need to be more creating, less consuming. You know what I'm saying? And when you are consuming, curating that consumption. So that's like, again, I'm getting some nutrition along with some fun, right? Now, interestingly, another 9. 999. It's again a pinnacle, a precipice. I'm right on the edge of completing something. 9 of Swords, though, says some analysis paralysis, some maybe I feel stuck, maybe I feel overwhelmed by all of the possibilities, or all the things that could go wrong. Typically, the 9 of Swords is like, they call it the nightmare card. And when we're in the middle of a nightmare, that feels real as fuck. We really think like there's a monster chasing me, or like I'm about to fly off the road in this car or whatever. And we wake up and it's like, oh, okay, I'm all right. Spirit is asking you to open your eyes, to turn the lights on, to look at the situation for what it is. I'm going to stop distracting myself and I'm going to get my eyes on my own paper. What's working? What's not working? What am I proud of? What do I need to like make some adjustments to? What's not working for me or what's going wrong? And Spirit is saying, ask for help. Ask for help. Yes, you're the Hermit. Yes, you're meant to follow your own path, find your own light, etc. And I said that this reading is you standing on your own 2 feet, but also being supported and seen. Two of Cups, Four of Wands. Do we see do we see some symbolism repeated here? Somebody sees me. Somebody is willing to exchange with me. And here we are, standing in a beautiful, equal, very symmetrical partnership. And that's what Spirit is saying. So I feel for some of you, this is like a literal partnership, whether it's romantic, whether it's business, whether it's creative. You do not have to be like this. There, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's chosen family, you do not need to take this all by yourself and put it all on yourself and shoulder it alone. I'll even say, we're living in very atomized times. We're living in extremely online times. If you are one of the people who feels like, I don't have that, I don't have this community or these friendships in real life, in the physical, that I can go to necessarily, then there are places and groups that you can find online where it's like these people are going through the same thing I am. These people also experienced this as a child, or these people are also interested in doing this or becoming this. And, here in this group, we can all share about the trials and travails and the victories and etc. about this thing. You need to be supported and seen. You deserve to be supported and seen. And it serves you knowing your own self and your own path more, actually, to allow yourself to be supported rather than to tell yourself that if you were really strong, then you'd be able to do it all by yourself, handle it all no matter what, yada, yada, yada. Don't do that to yourself. I understand fire signs, like, again, there's like a braveness and a boldness and a desire to overcome and etc. that all comes from being a fire sign. And you can do that with people by your side. Spirit's really funny. Okay, listen, I'm a nerd. Okay? Just get that through your head if you couldn't tell. I'm a huge nerd, and what Spirit is showing me is the difference between domestic cartoons and animation and Japanese animation. In the cartoons in America, generally speaking, it's like there's one hero. Like, Marvel movies and shit like that. It's like there's one person and they've got all the power and they have to save the world all by themselves. And they're like, no, think more like, and again, Spirit will get the message through however they need to. I happen to be a nerd. My antenna happens to be quite nerdy. So Spirit's like, tell them it's like the difference between an American cartoon and Japanese animation, where in Japanese animation, it's all about the power of love and support that we get from our friends and our community that allows us to have these incredible powers or to save the world or to change everything. Your Gokus, your Sailor Moons, etc. Spirit Bomb, blah, 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 blah. Have I lost you yet? Am I nerding too hard? You're supposed to make a spirit bomb. You're supposed to get with people who love you, see you, understand you, whether you know them in the physical or not. Allow yourself to be seen, especially maybe your fears, your hesitations, your anxieties, because once you say them out loud and breathe and let them come into this, like into the light, and you see that other people are not like, wow, that's really embarrassing, or like, wow, that is fucked up, or whatever, and they're actually like, this is how I can help you. Oh, yay, fellow nerds, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not alone here. You are not alone. You can do it alone, but you don't need to. Okay? Go to the people and the places that make you feel seen as a complete and like fruitful human being. Okay? Places that help you follow your own path and your own light more. This is like a beef I have with a lot of spiritual content on the various platforms and channels, that there's a lot of like, you need to do what I say because I'm the one who sees whatever the fuck. I hope part of my legacy to be, you trust your own intuition above anybody else. Anybody else could give you a tip or a little like a little jingle, a little sign to look in a certain direction or to maybe look at something twice. But you know what you're doing. A lot of times you just got to peel through the bullshit and the social conditioning and the embarrassment of like, well, me, psychic? No fucking way. That's so embarrassing. That's fucking cringe. Like, or maybe even some people are psychic, but not me. There's some people that are gifted like that, but not me. All human beings are psychic. It's not supernatural. It's very natural. It's not supernatural. It's very natural. It's just that, again, we have all this sediment. We have all this bullshit. We have all this white settler colonialism sitting on top of us saying, like, actually, no, Your body doesn't have wisdom. It's all up here. It's all logic. Boring. Slow. Okay. I've started screaming. I've started bellowing. So we have reached the end of the stream. I'm sending so much love. I love seeing the little hearts and stuff. That's so nice. Thank you for being here, y'all. As always, I really hope that this is helpful. I hope it's clarifying. I hope it helps you step more fully into your own self, your own perspective, your own power, your own intuition, your own creativity. Much love to you. I'll catch y'all next week. Bye. Oh, there's my